In this video, you're gonna watch me break down a live recording of me closing a 5-figure pay in full on a cold traffic sales call. Now, a couple of things that I need to preface. Firstly, this was my first ever sales call selling my own offer to cold traffic. So I made a lot of mistakes, and honestly, I'd probably rate this call around a 6 out of 10 by my own standard and the standard that I teach the 100 plus salespeople that I have taught. Still, however, I closed them on a 5-figure pay in full within 40 minutes. Now, another thing I need to mention, there is parts of this sales call that I have to blur out, where I'm talking about, the ins and outs of their company and my own. And I'm also screen sharing internal resources of my company, of which I can't share publicly. Now, another thing I need to preface is this call may look like a laydown, like an easy close. However, that is how every single one of my sales calls look. And in this video, I'm gonna explain to you exactly why. I'll break down why I said certain things, why I asked the questions I did, and why out of the 5 other people that they spoke to, they decided to go with me and pay in full. Enjoy.
But right now, we don't have a designated sales team. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like and what way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. How long have you been running the sales yourself?
Since I started last October. So it's just me.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. How are you finding the sales so far? Just like general overview.
Now, we're 2 minutes in. I'm just looking for high-level overviews. I want to get a feel for how they communicate as people, how they think. And this is not only going to allow me to ask the relevant questions, but tailor my approach for the rest of the call. Now, this is the exact same approach that I take when I'm building out sales infrastructure for my clients at Salecify. Before I build anything, I need to understand how the business communicates, how their prospects think, and what actually matters. If you want to see how we do that, link is in the description.
It's 2 weeks in. I mean, it's, we're going through, we also need some help on the rev operation side. So we're all on a software, on a CRM that, go high level that we're not experts on, so we're going to need some help on that side of it. But I think the good news is we have leads coming in and we have lists to work. So now we have to build up the team.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. And obviously you mentioned there you have a marketing company. Where are the leads being generated from right now?
Mostly paid ads. So initially we were driving people to like a wait list. But now we're driving them to like sign up for a demo. So, we're going through, when you have a new marketing company, they're figuring out your ICP and all that stuff. So, would I say the leads have been perfect? No. But they're still understanding who we are as a company and what we're trying to do. So I'd like to have this built. I'd like to have a sales team in place so that as these leads start pouring in, we're set up to go out and close them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. What is the ticket price that you guys are selling out now? I know there's, like you say, there's more.
Yeah. So right now the average ticket is anywhere between, as new apps come on board, I think, ideally it's going to be anywhere between, would be the average ticket.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. Is there, just out of curiosity, because it's a small enough ticket, is from what you've seen thus far, is there a longer sales cycle, or are these people just like buying directly off?
Very short sales cycle, so very transactional. We're solving a problem, and they either think we can do that or not. If they believe that we can fix the problem that they have, then there's no need for this to be a long sales cycle.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. You mentioned a couple of things there as well. You mentioned obviously the CRMs go high level right now, the sales team. Do you guys have any sort of like sales tracking in place right now where you're able to see the numbers, or would that be another thing where you'd be looking for help?
Yeah, we need help on the operation side. So creating pretty basic creating dashboards, activity, things like that.
Now, what I did here is something called prefacing my question. Now, what prefacing your question means is you mentioning a couple of things that they've already previously mentioned and adding it in to your question. This ensures that the prospect goes deeper on a certain point that you want them to go deeper at. And it also prevents them from speaking about something that they've already spoken about, and prevents them from thinking, I'm asking a question to an answer that they already gave, which in turn disrupts the flow of the conversation and makes them think I'm just following a script.
I mean, we haven't go high level right now. Like you can see where I've called them, but we don't have like specific dashboards.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Understood. Okay. And you mentioned obviously the sales team in terms of volume, because it'd be good to get an understanding of how many reps you feel like would be like necessary at this current point in time.
I think it depends on what the structure of it is, right? Like, do we do like, in a perfect world, I would love 5 sales reps and have like 2 or 3 appointment setters. But again, I think it depends on who we work with or who we partner with. We've had some people, go the route of like, and I don't know what you guys do, obviously, but like some companies, they handle everything, right? Like they become part of our team, right? They do the appointment setting, they do the closing, they have a manager that manages the whole process. And then I just kind of manage, then I see all of that. So, it really, I think, depends who we're working with as a partner. But I think, we need at least a couple salespeople, hunters on board.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And in terms of types of sales reps, do you envision outbound reps as well in terms of like cold calling lists, or will it all be from the ads that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely from lists, right? That's why I'm thinking like if we could have someone that's just pounding the phone and going over those lists and setting up appointments for closers, that to me seems like the most ideal situation. Yeah,
for sure. Okay. Perfect. Gives me a lot of clarity. In terms of moving forward then, have you guys set specific revenue targets over the coming months, or is it just like, I want to grow as fast as possible, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, our first goal as a company is to hit 1,000 customers. So obviously how we get there and how fast we get there will determine, like, it will be based on what does this initial setup look like? What does that take for onboarding? So, I mean, I will tell you, like, we're moving fast.
You guys envisioned this fully outsourced, or you to be still involved in the process?
It changes every time we talk to someone else. So I think for us, we've been doing these interviews for the last 2 days. Amy and I are going to have a conversation later this afternoon, kind of figure out what we think is the best way to move forward, and then make that decision. Initially, again, I think right now, to me, the idea to have it all outsourced and to have as a partner is the most appealing to me, because it allows me to focus on what I really want to do and what I was brought on to do. But at the same time, I'm open to other things if it's what's best for our business.
Now, I asked this question to tailor my pitch effectively to what they want. It gives me an understanding of their vision in terms of scope of work from a partner. And if they mention some keywords in here in their answer, I'm going to repeat those keywords back to them in the pitch, so it sounds like what I have is the most specific thing for their needs that they've ever seen.
So, for sure. Okay, awesome. I feel pretty clued up on your guys' situation. Anything else that you guys feel is very relevant before I walk you guys through how we may be able to help?
I'm good on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, would love to hear. Would love to hear your end of things.
Yep, for sure.
Side of
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, to give you guys some context then per your guys' questions. So everything from a sales process point of view is what we do, what we help with. And like you say, it can be either done with you but from what it seems thus far, it looks like some sort of done for you, at least at the start anyway, because like you say, the sales tracking, the go high level, those would be things that we'd have to take care of initially at the start anyway.
Now, with prospects like this, they're very new, they have no sales infrastructure yet, and also the pace, clarity, and speed that they want to move at. I know for a fact that there's no need for me to do a deep discovery. They are not pain-driven prospects because they're not bleeding revenue every single day. They're goal-driven prospects that need a solution so that they can move forward fast. So I know for a fact that asking them too many questions is going to piss them off due to where they are at in business at this current point in time. The sale here is going to come from me giving them a solution that is perfect for them in terms of scope of work and making sure that they trust me and my process through showing them social proof, etc.
To give you guys context on me, our company, our background, we are obviously a sales agency. We've been doing this for over 2 years now. And it's specific to mainly B2B companies like yourselves who are in that type of revenue range of anywhere from that 10 to 100K in monthly revenue. And like you say, they come to us with a specific thing of, okay, I want my entire sales process to be not only just worked on and done with me, but optimized to its full extent, which is exactly what we do. The majority of the companies that I've worked with have been similar enough to you guys in the sense of I mainly work with agencies, but I've worked with a couple of software companies, as you can see here. This is one of them, who we helped grow pretty quickly. But the majority of them are in that service-based industry per se, where they're targeting those specific people. Now, to give you guys context, and I'll start from the top, feel free to interrupt me at any point whilst I'm going through exactly how we work and everything that we do of that nature, right? First thing, like you say, I'll start at the top. From a systems point of view, it's always the first thing that I'm looking at. You guys, like you say, your GHL is probably quite messy unless someone has fully set it up yet, and obviously the tracking side of things as well, right? First thing that I would be putting in place, can you guys see my screen now? I just switched it over.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So first thing is, ultimately, we need to make database decisions. They're my favorite ones. And we do this via a sales tracking dashboard that we have built internally for all of our partners. So for you to be able to see all the relevant key sales metrics that really matter inside your company, right? And this is for the closers who actually take the demos, and then also for the SDRs and setters who would be calling outbound leads, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can see all of the relevant metrics for each and every single one of them individually, but also as a team here. So for example, if I've gone to closers, obviously we haven't inputted this because this is just something that we show for people. But for example, I'll put in my K, and we can select the different closers and setters, things of that nature. So you guys can see on your side, okay, what does, or how many outbound dollars is this specific rep doing? How many pickups are they getting? What is the pickup to book call ratio? All the real key metrics here that you would want to see. I can go more granular into the tracking side of things. Anything that pops straight to mind from your guys' point of view, or is this all right?
Yeah, this is great. Could we integrate this into our Go High Level so that those dashboards were included in it?
Can you ask that question again?
So we use Go High Level as our CRM. So these dashboards that you're providing shows the dashboards that I'm going to want. Can we incorporate your dashboards into our Go High Level so it's not in different platforms?
Yes. What I will say is, it's not that difficult, but it's good to have two sources of truth.
Yeah. I have no problem having multiple sources as long as one of those sources is Go High Level.
Yeah, for sure. So we always recommend you have your CRM, which is where all of your leads get inputted there, and you see what type of movement is going on specifically with your leads. And then from a tracking point of view, you get all of your numbers specifically on the dashboard.
Now, key thing here, and this is something that I did not do to its full extent, but after explaining a key part of my scope of work, I always aim to ask them some type of question that prompts them to validate that what I'm showing or explaining to them is what they need, or it hashes out any questions to avoid talking about my scope of work post price drop.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Like you say as well, from a ops system standpoint, everything of that nature, we have an ops manager on our team, and what he specifically does is everything from a systematic point of view on that CRM and everything else of that nature that's involved with all the systems. So if there's specific things that you guys see on GHL that you want fixed, we come in there and we fix it. And also, we're going to be proactive alongside that, where we come in and we fix things that we know will either break in due time if we don't fix it very, very quickly, or we are coming in and just making it more efficient so that the sales reps ultimately are moving with a higher pace, and just more clarity on their side. Like you say, you guys are running ads right now. So the first thing that we do once we fix the CRM, we make sure there's tracking in place. We're looking at what is that lead experience from, ad, that first click to ultimately them booking the call. So like you say, you're running that demo, like book a call funnel is what we like to call it in our space. What I'd be looking at is your VSL, how long is the VSL, what does the application look like, what are people typically saying in these applications? Is there any way that we can make sure that these leads are getting qualified better so your salespeople are more efficient? We're feeding data better back to Meta, whatever that looks like, and then also some type of drip campaign sequence of which, somebody submits an application, we're sending them a sequence of emails. Typically what I recommend is, an email every day for the next 5 to 6 days from the day that they opt in, and then an email every second day thereafter, right? And what we do on our side is we will copy the transcripts of the calls that the salespeople are taking. We'll do product market research on our side, specifically on your ICP and what you guys provide, and then we'll create the copy off the back of that. We create all this copy, we send it over to you guys for your review, and then off the back of that, we implement it then ourselves. The sales calls themselves, like you say, we do everything from a sales rep point of view. So whether that be recruiting, hiring the reps, onboarding the reps, and training the reps, absolutely everything that encompasses a sales rep doing a great job and having that hands off for you guys, creating all the SOPs and onboarding systems for them to ultimately perform at the end of the day as well alongside that is stuff that we take care of. Now, them performing again is a whole nother feat in itself. So all the different KPIs that are relevant for you guys, of course, is different for every single company. So we'll set these up dependent on what your guys' number are thus far, what you guys believe you guys can achieve, and then obviously what we see on our side to be extremely relevant and achievable. And off the back of that, we'll put in the type of accountability systems that ensure that those numbers all get hit on a consistent basis. Thereafter, once all of these things are in place, it's mainly just, like you say, training in terms of a rep point of view and then revenue stabilization. Now, what I mean by revenue stabilization is, like you say, if we input different things from a pre-call point of view, a post-call point of view, the funnel, the CRM, all of these things do need to be optimized based on the data that we see when we implement these changes and move forward, right? So that's things that we're doing on a constant weekly basis. So we will come to you guys on a call every single week and say, hey, this is what we've done for the past week. This is what we've implemented. Off the back of this data that we see, we're going to make these specific changes and report back to you guys on a consistent basis to ensure that everybody is ultimately aligned. Any questions thus far?
Yeah. What does timeline look like on all of this? So let's say we want to move forward. A couple questions. What does timeline look like? And then who's managing your team to make sure that those KPIs are getting hit? Like, do I have a designated manager? Is your team just managing it and then reporting back to me? Just curious as to how that looks like.
Yep, great question. So first step in terms of onboarding, we said send you guys a very simple onboarding form. This gives us all the relevant information to take action pretty immediately. Obviously, we send this over to you guys from the second that something takes place. We would have an onboarding call the next day. We simply gather this information and are much better able to ask the relevant questions to get a full picture of everything that we want to work on the quickest, what are the lowest hanging fruits, everything of that nature. What I will say is the majority of this gets built within the first week. So once we send you guys what I like to call that plan of action doc, that's always within 72 hours upon payment. So like you said, submit onboarding form day 1, we have the onboarding call day 2, and then you get your plan of action doc on day 3. On day 3, this is where we present you guys all the things that we want to start working on immediately based on the fact that we think it's going to be, like you say, the lowest hanging fruit or the things that are the highest revenue driven action at that current point in time. And off the back of that, we will implement all of these things within the next week, 2 weeks. Typically, it takes us about a week or 10 days to, like you say, install the sales tracking, the CRM, hire the new sales reps, create all the SOPs around that and all the systems around that. And then after that timeline of about 7 days to 10 days, this is just constant training of the salespeople and then consistent optimization of all these processes. What we like to do in terms of timeline is have firstly a 45-day engagement. And what we like to say is within that 45-day engagement, regardless of if you want to run it yourself after, or you'd like to come to us and say, hey, I think you guys should take this over full stack and just manage it for us. Either option you guys can do based on the fact that all of this will be built out and you will have a documented working sales process by the end of that 45-day timeline. Does that answer your question about the timeline?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you had another question alongside that. Could you repeat the other one?
Was my question was just who managed it and then the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so who manage it from a direct sales perspective? That's me. I do all the sales itself. Our team members on our side is we have a copywriter who creates all the relevant copy. We have, like I say, my ops manager who either fixes the CRM and implements all these different systems, and then we have a funnel designer. Whether your VSL page needs certain optimization on that book call funnel, that's stuff that we take care of as well. So that is our process. People who manage it, et cetera, et cetera.
So would you be the only salesperson, or would you have multiple salespeople?
No, like I'm the person managing the
salespeople.
Yeah. So I'm the person who recruits the salespeople and puts them into the business and then gets them doing their job. Ultimately.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yep. Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess just for transparency, we were talking to another company pretty similar to what you guys were doing. What is your structure as far as payment and fee?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Happy to dive into that. Just before, and obviously you guys mentioned that you've been speaking to other people. Is there certain things involved in my specific service and the way we work that would be striking to you guys in the sense of, okay, I think it's better maybe I work with another partner here that I've already spoke to? Or
now, very important here. You always need confirmation from a prospect that this is what they need, it's what they want, they trust you, and they trust the system that you have. You should never, and I mean never, price drop and tell someone the investment before they give you that confirmation. And if they were to have answered this question that I asked with a maybe or I'm not sure, I would have dug deeper, asked more questions, got more clarity, and got them to verbalize themselves that it actually is what they need and it actually is going to help them.
What are your thoughts initially?
No, I mean, if I'm being transparent, you're very similar to a company that we were going to move forward with, but there was just some things that when it came to legal stuff that we weren't willing to budge. So again, I like the idea of having it all under one umbrella. The idea is that you guys can help us in GHL and get us in a place where we need to be, I think is a very strong point. So I think being able to help us not just on sales, but on the operations side, having to manage one partner instead of 4 or 5 different partners is also is something that I like. I think it just comes down to speed. Like, so Amy talks about it a lot and it's so true. It's like, do you want something cheap? Do you want something, do you want something cheap? Do you want something fast? And do you want something good? And I think for us is like, we're not looking for cheap. We're funded by our founder, so we can't just spend money to spend money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, we need revenue, right?
We need it fast.
We need it fast. And so if you guys feel like you could come in and build out the sales team and really do this what I like about you guys is that you have a background in the trades. Like that's really hard to find. So the fact that you guys have a background in selling into the trades is a huge plus. It's now how fast can we get this set up, and what is your structure? What is your fee structure?
Yeah, to go off that a little bit more, like that is initially what we wanted, but we didn't. We also wanted to make sure that we were making the right decision. So it was like, when I thought about what we need a sales team. So we need someone to go out there, find us salespeople, train them, and essentially, manage them from a day to day, like listen to calls, be able to say, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong, doing this wrong, and then and like holding them accountable to that. And then, like Charlie said, there was the rev ops side of things. Part of me was like, I can just go and find a high level expert rev ops person. If this team could do that as well, amazing. But yeah, my main thing was like, we need someone hitting the phones. We need setters. We have qualified and unqualified leads sitting in our GHL right now that like we need someone to call on. Like that is the immediate need. We need someone to hit the phones and start dialing as soon as possible. If they're dialing those numbers, if they're setting those calls, if they're handing them off to a closer, if we just have one person that's doing those and they're trying to do like a one call close, like all of those were like, okay, let's figure out how we want that to be. But we really liked the idea of working with one team, because then it was like, that is who we're working with. They understand it all, rather than us going and find someone that was just doing, like they were basically a dialer and they're doing cold calls and they were like putting things on our on our calendars. So if you guys can truly do everything that we kind of just said, I mean, I'm extremely interested in that.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Okay. Well, very happy, because for those points, I am very confident that there is a lot of alignment here. So that's great to hear. I'll walk you guys through the structure of how we work. Like I mentioned to you guys, we do the first initial 45-day engagement to just build all of these things out. Firstly, I'll mention after the 45-day engagement, it does depend on what you guys really want, right? So either we work on two different manners. We hand it over to you guys, where we'll do an extra week after that 45 days to make sure that it's fully handed over and you guys can run it yourselves. There's that route. Or we either work on a percentage of revenue model, where we're strictly.
Yeah, so we were going down more towards the percentage of revenue model. I think we're going to want more support after 45 days.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Most of our partners do move on to that. Anyway,
we're going to build a partnership, and if you're building something and you feel and you're very confident, like running it, like that is, to me, that is a great partnership for us to have. Do we pay the sales reps? Is that percentage based? And then our conversation, or like what you guys do for us on a month-to-month basis, is also percentage based? And then that's question one. And then question two is, how many do you think we would need at the beginning when it comes to like closers and setters?
Now, key thing here that I personally messed up on. There should be absolutely no logistical questions about your service post price drop. Everything a prospect needs to know about your specific service should be stated within that pitch section. The pitch is something that you should constantly be refining until you've curated the perfect pitch that leaves no questions unanswered when you get to that price drop. Alongside that, passing a contract over to their legal team is out of their control. It needs to happen. And if I was to have pushed back here, it would have created unnecessary friction. Now, typically for me, if there were legal concerns or contract concerns, I would actually pull the service agreement up on the spot and share my screen on the call. But I know for a fact that these people are not even going to look at it. It's going straight to the legal team to get the green light, and then they move forward from there. This is actually a good example of why at Salecify, we build out everything from the scripts to the follow-up sequence to the service agreements, so that by the time you get to this stage, there's nothing left to fumble. Again, if that's something that you need, links below.
Okay. I'll answer the first question. So I'll answer the first question first. So for that point, it depends on what you guys want. We can either do a percentage model of which we incorporate the sales reps within that, or you strictly just pay us our percentage, and you can pay the sales reps separate, right? So it really depends on what you guys want. We're happy with either. Really is up to you guys. Your second point was again, sorry.
What you thought, how many? Like what would you start off with? Are you looking for 2 setters and 1 closer? Like I know you don't know not a ton about our business yet, so I understand if that's a loaded question, but.
Yeah. For that point, it really depends on volume. And what I like to say all the time is, ultimately, my goal is we have what I like to call A-player sales reps, right? Who are, phenomenal salespeople who are going to do an extremely phenomenal job. And with that in mind, to attract A-player sales reps, they want to get paid well. So I'm not going to come in with the mindset of let me hire as many people as possible. It's let me make this team as efficient as possible and make it an 8-player team, so that, like you say, we have I couldn't give you a full direct answer just yet. I'll be able to find out within the first 2 days based on the amount of volume and everything else that I'll find out of that nature. But let me get as lower reps as possible that produce as much revenue alongside that as possible as well.
I love that. I completely agree. I've worked for places, right, where they just did a bunch of volume, and we lost really good salespeople because they weren't getting right enough opportunities. So I love the idea of making sure that really good people, have the opportunity to make a lot of money. I definitely want to find, great people that want to work, and we want to compensate them, right? It's especially if it's like percentage, where the more we make, the more they make. I love that type of model. I want hungry people that if, I'm more than happy to pay them what they deserve if, we're all making money. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming the 7/10, whatever, like you said, whatever we agree on, I appreciate the range, would be for like you and your team and like the back end, like the monthly ongoing management. What do you foresee for the reps?
Yeah, great question. Well, firstly, like you say, it does depend on how you guys also want to incentivize your team. I'm open to multiple different routes. What I would always suggest is to, like you say, have a very or just like mainly percentage or commission based for all of these sales reps, because I can always find reps who will happily work on that commission basis. So that's what I'm always shooting for. If you guys want to include bases for the sales reps, I'm open to it. I wouldn't always suggest it just because, like you say, it's not extremely necessary. The salespeople themselves, how I typically structure it is the setter would, or the SDR setters, whatever you want to call them, would be in and around that range of 5 to 6%, and then the closers would be in around that range of like 8 to 11%. Typically, it's 5 for the setters and 10 for the closers. Is there like industry average?
That's exactly what I've seen in the past. So I think we're really aligned there.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and if you're, again, I appreciate you being candid. And if you're saying, hey, we don't necessarily need to do bases, and it's like, okay, so 5% for setters, 10% for closers, just flat, and then us kind of like you said, going between the 7 and the 10 for your team. I appreciate the candidacy, and you're the expert here, and so if the 5 and the 10 is good for the closers and the setters, I'm very comfortable. I'm comfortable with that, and yeah.
Here's how I position it to you guys. Ultimately, right, as you guys know, number one most important thing in business here, especially with the sales reps, is revenue, right? That's the number one thing we care about. Are they producing revenue, right? The way I always like to position it is we have our percentage model, but alongside that, a bonus structure that incentivizes them in terms of the revenue that they produce. So let's say we have a target on a weekly basis. Should they hit that target, then they get an extra, extra bit of whatever that looks like. Whatever makes sense for everybody, and that just aligns incentives.
I really like that.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah, amazing.
Awesome. What are our next steps here?
Yeah, for sure. So the first steps, like you say, we would take care of the investment. I'd shoot over the service agreement to you guys. That onboarding form, I'd like you guys to fill it out as in detail as possible, because like you say, it will influence a lot of the different assets and copy and things of that nature that we create. Off the back of that, then it's the onboarding call a day later, and then our team gets to work.
Amazing. Yeah, if you could send me over the service agreement as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it over within the hour.
Amazing. I'm very excited about this. I really appreciate your time here.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, likewise, like you guys say, I think there's a lot of alignment. I'm very confident that we can do phenomenal things. So I'll shoot all over that to your guys' email. Anything else that you guys would like to see on my side that you think could benefit?
Icing on the cake here is that you've done.
Trades experience is a huge thing for us, so that's a big thing.
Yeah,
and the percentages are in line with other partners we were possibly working with, so that's good too. So
yeah, and again, I'm very open to the bonus structure. For exceeding goals and things like that. So I'm totally comfortable if the more we make, the more they make, and really incentivizing them and them feeling like they're being treated well. I want this to be an ongoing positive relationship. So
yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So next step, then you'll send over that agreement to Amy. We'll get that look it over, and go from there. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Would you guys be opposed to maybe putting in a placeholder maybe for early next week? And like you say, we can either use that as an onboarding call, or if there's still some final questions, we can just at least we have a time there scheduled, and we can move forward from there.
Yeah, I'm totally open to that. Charlie and I are both traveling to Utah to meet for our Q2 offsite. Charlie, I landed in Utah pretty early. I know you don't land till late, but there may be time somewhere in the middle of the day before you fly out after I land.
Yeah. Are we talking about Monday?
Yeah, we're talking Monday.
My flight leaves at 10:30 in the morning, and I get into so I leave Virginia at 10:30 in the morning, and I have one layover. I get into Utah at 4:30. So
4:30 Utah time or 4:30 Eastern?
4:30 Utah time.
Where are you located for time zones?
I'm in Central European time. So
what time is it right now?
11:57.
11:57.
I mean, if you're saying you're back at 4:30 Utah time, I could do like 5 or 5:30. That's mountain time, yeah.
Yeah, that's mountain time. And if I have to take it from the Uber, it's not a big deal. So
yeah.
And I will have landed and we'll have been at the house by then. So
yeah, will we say just like 5:30 just to give you some?
Yeah, that would be nice if you could give me a little buffer.
yeah, let's do 5:30. Mountain, is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do that if that's cool with you.
Yeah, perfect. I will send over that invite. I'll send over the email with the agreement and all the relevant information. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me back on that email. But yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. And
Me too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been great. We really appreciate your time.
You too. Pleasure, guys. Talk
Thanks.
soon.
Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Now, last thing here, the way you position the follow-up call is super important. That wording that I used in that call just there has worked for me for years, so feel free to use it. After this call, I sent them the service agreement and they had signed it within 2 hours. Some key takeaways here that I really want you to internalize. These people signed up with me for many reasons, of course, but 2 main reasons. First one was the way that I curated my pitch. What I had was exactly what they needed, and I made it feel like exactly what they needed through the way that I communicated my service. Number 2 was I didn't hard sell them or pressure them into buying. I found out the type of people that they were in the first few minutes and knew pressuring them or pushing them from a sales perspective wasn't going to move the needle forward in this deal whatsoever. Now, as I said to you at the start, I rated this call a 6 out of 10. And of course, I learned from my mistakes, I implement my own feedback. And last week, I took a sales call that was a 9 out of 10, of which I implemented all of my own feedback. And again, that person paid me 5 figures in full. If you want to see that breakdown, drop a like, drop a comment, and I'll be sure to post it very soon. Peace.